Fanatics. We are back. Sort of wanted to do something different than what I really imagined this would be. A big problem is that I just don't have enough friends, and I want to talk about every team. Well, I don't want to talk about every team, but I can't just like leave teams out because they're not really interesting. So I'm going to do like sort of like a power ranking, and it's not necessarily how I view how they're going to finish as their record. Um, Sometimes teams are just better and they have to play worse schedules. Like I think that Buffalo won't have a great record as like they normally do. I think they're still going to have a winning record, but they have a brutal schedule. So it's not only about the record. Like I didn't think Minnesota was as good as their record last year, but I thought I didn't. So that's how I'm going to rank them, basically. So I'm going to rank them based on like how I view their record. So I don't think. So the the 32nd team that I'm going to do today is the Arizona Cardinals, and I actually don't think they're going to be the worst team. And what's terrible about that is I think that they want to be the worst team. So I think they're going to be the second worst team, but I think they want to. I know they want to. If you look at their roster, you can tell they want to. So going back to what I was going to say before, um, I want to talk about every team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 32 in 32. So I'm going to do 32 teams in 32 days, 32 teams in 32 days, and the last day being the day before the first game of the season. So you'll get a team a day. Unfortunately, the first one I have to talk about is the Cardinals. I'm going to try to keep it fairly short. Some teams have more changeover. Like, for example, the Panthers. Panthers have a lot more to talk about because a lot of new players, huge new coaching staff, very interesting kind of team. The Cardinals, not so much. So I'm honestly, I'm kind of just like filling a little bit of time by just telling you what I'm doing because there's not a ton to say, but I'm going to try to be as interesting as possible. Um, the the hard part is that you can just tell they're trying to tank. So let's just go back and just start from what happened, right? So they fire their coach. Their whole team is just they got crushed by. Granted, they weren't very good last year before they got crushed by injuries, but injuries really hurt them. So they lost Hollywood for games. They lost Kyler. Kyler tore his ACL. They lost Rondale Moore. They lost James Conner for a few games. Um, they just got killed. And the fact that they didn't really make any moves just kind of tells you they want Caleb Williams, as they should. As they should. You should want Caleb Williams. I am kind of shocked that more teams aren't actively being the Philadelphia 76ers when they were just like the process, right? Caleb Williams is phenomenal. He is Andrew Luck out of college. He is Peyton Manning out of college. I have no doubt that Caleb Williams is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So I get the tanking part of it, but man, this is super obvious. So let's just go from the beginning. Let me talk about their coaching moves, right? So so they kind of ask Brian Flores, and it's kind of funny because Brian Flores is like, I just kind of like a gut feeling that I just got a gut feeling. I just don't want that head coaching job. Dude, like, just saw Lovie Smith in Texas, and he was like, "Oh wait, you mean that I can be a part of a rebuild and I still get fired?" He was like, "Nah, bruh, I'm not doing that." So they had their first choice. Then there was rumors about Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka is on the Giants offensive coordinator, and then they have Lou. I'm going to butcher his name, but so they all those guys are basically like, nah, I'm good. And then they kind of they went to Jonathan Gannon and they were like, hey, we're not going to pay you as much as the Eagles would pay to keep you around, but you get a head coaching job. And Jonathan Gannon's like, fine, I'm good. And everybody's like, what? What are this is like suicide, right? But it is. I mean, once you are a head coach, I mean, it might be easier to be a head coach next time. Who knows? Maybe maybe he comes out as good. To be fair, I didn't think that the Giants were going to be good last year, and Dayball turned that team around. But it was like their fourth choice, and they were like, okay, so I'm not talking about Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon has like a really good defense last year. I think he had two corners that were all pro. He comes from a cornerback coaching tree. Hassan Reddick was all pro. Hargraves is amazing. Brandon Graham's always good. Like he had a great season as a D coordinator until he ran into the Chiefs and they put up 38 points against him. Anyway, so they get Jonathan Gannon, and it really feels like when Matt Rule came to the Panthers, and it was like dead man walking kind of thing. That not when he came to the Panthers, but like his last season, almost everybody around the league were like, "Nah, you're gonna get fired during the season. Like you're gonna get fired during the season." So we had to like deal with Ben McAdoo, and so it feels like Jonathan Gannon trying to get a coaching staff was very similar. Like he had to, he went to the Browns passing game coordinator. So like he didn't. So he's never been a head coach before. His offensive coordinator's never been like any kind of heavy head coach before. He's been offensive passing game coordinator once. I think before then he was a tight ends coach. So he has basically no idea what he's doing either. So they bring this guy from the Browns, who I think they had the 18th best scoring offense last year. So it's you bring your fourth pick as coach. You get an 18th best scoring offense last year when you have Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper, Peoples-Jones, like Njoku, like one of the best offensive lines in the league. Granted, sure, they had Brissett, but Brissett was fine. What? Like, that's your offensive coordinator? And then you have Kyler, who knows when he's going to play. You don't give him a good backup. Like, at least the Commanders, they got Brissett in. Like, they got someone that could actually play in case, like, Howell wasn't good. So you have Colt McCoy, he started a few games. Like, um, he's like a poor man's Case Keenum. I feel bad saying that, but he's kind of like poor man's Case Keenum a little bit. So I guess not Case Keenum, but Colt McCoy is going to start the year. Hollywood's coming back from injury. Rondell Moore's coming back from injury. You get Zach Pascal because I guess he's the only guy that you can get to, and that's your replacement for DeAndre Hopkins. You got 28-year-old James Conner, mostly because he's making $10 million, and who else? I know he's making $10 million. I think he's making like $7 million. And who else is going to take that? J.J. Watt was like, I'm not coming back here. I'm retiring. And then you got like Buda Baker, who's like, what? Like, what am I doing here, man? Like, please, let's just, you're going to tank. Just get rid of me, which I think they will. And I think that, you know what? I think the Eagles might make a move for him. I think the Eagles know that they need a safety, and you might see a move for him this year. Sorry, this mic is like really close to me, but we'll see. It might sound good. So let's just go through the schedule. So I go through all 32 teams almost every year. So I just finished my schedule this year. I want people to know that when they beat teams, it's not because I think those teams are worse than these teams. It has a lot of other nuances. It has a lot of nuances with travel, or if the other team's on back-to-back, or short weeks, or winter versus early in the year. If somebody's coming back from injury, there's a ton of stuff that goes into my rankings, and it's not even rankings. My schedule, my win losses. Um, and that being said, it can change. So I know nobody's going to actually do this, but if you do it and like you get all the way to the end, and you're like, well, this like he said that this team was gonna win this time, and then the next time he said the other team was gonna win. Yeah, it's gonna happen. People are gonna get hurt. Things are gonna happen. So I just want you to know that I'm not doing all 32 right now, and I want you to know that I'm not doing all 32 when this comes out. So it might change. I'm giving you the information that I have right now, and deal with it. So let's go to the schedule. So they start off at Washington. I have that as a loss. I actually think at home to the Giants is a win. I I kind of think that teams, when they are dismissed, that's when you don't want to play them. You don't want to play them early in the season because they want to prove themselves. So I think they're going to win a game early because they just have too much pride because they're NFL players and NFL, you're professional athletes. You will get amped up because you don't want to seem like you're gonna have a losing record. So I think they get up for the Giants, and I think that they what they're going to do, and also you have Gannon that's seen the Giants over and over again. So what I think that they're gonna do is I think they're gonna just do what most defensive coaches do, and they're just gonna run the ball, try to control the clock. James Conner's gonna have a ton of pride. Their O line is probably the best unit on their team, and it's probably 10th to 15th best in the league. I think Pro Football Focus has them rated like 13th. And I think the Giants aren't going to put up a ton of points. So if you get 20 points, I think you can beat the Giants if you slow the game down. So I think they're going to have a lot of pride. I think they're going to win early, and then the rest of their schedule, man, it's tough. You got Dallas at home, it's a loss. At San Francisco is a loss. Home to Cincinnati is a loss. At the Chargers is a loss. At the Seahawks is a loss. Home to Baltimore is a loss. At Cleveland's a loss. I have Atlanta as a win, and I might regret that because I have Atlanta beating Minnesota the game before, and then they have to go on the road to Arizona. I I think it's going to take a lot for them to beat Minnesota. I think it's going to be a really close game for Atlanta. So I think when they go on the road, I think that Arizona they just lost 7 games in a row. So I think Arizona wins that one. I got to give that to them. Then they go to Houston. I think Houston is just better, and they're going to be the kind of the same team as the Cardinals in the sense like they just want to get better. They want to win games. They have young guys on the team. I mean, I feel like the vets are going to be playing for the next contract or the next team they go to, and I think that the young guys are just going to be like just try hard, and they have like a lot of pride, so they're really going to just work their butts off. So I have Atlanta as a win. At Houston's a loss. Home to the Rams. So the only reason I have home to the Rams winning, I think the Rams blow the team up. I think it's over. I think they trade everyone. I think they just start over. I think they just have to. And it's going to be odd. Maybe they keep Donald, Iron Donald. I don't know who's going to take Stafford. Maybe somebody gets hurt in the middle of the year and they like need a quarterback in Stafford. So it's so funny. Stafford was a Hall of Famer 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, and now nobody wants him. Maybe Stafford gets moved if somebody gets hurt. But I think that they're just gonna be done. I think the whole team is just gonna be I think they're gonna come out and they're gonna try for a little bit, but the team's just not good enough. They went all in for the Ramseys of the world and the Von Miller and the OBJ, and I mean they're paying for it right now. They just don't have cap space. I think they blow it up, and that's the only reason I have them winning. Because the rest of their schedule, I mean, at Pittsburgh, um, home to San Fran, at Chicago. I think that's when Chicago kind of starts putting together a little bit. Uh, I think that it's going to take a little bit for Moore to mesh with Fields. Also, I just don't think that they have a great running game, great O line, a lot of new pieces on defense. I think that Chicago, if they're a year, if they're going to be good, they're at least a year away. But if they start to be good, they're going to start being good around here. And then they're at Philly, and then home to Seattle. So it's a brutal schedule, and I think that they know it, and I think that they know the plan. I think they're Houston last year. They're basically just Houston last year, and Houston. I think they they knew they were going to be bad, and they should have had the number one overall pick, and they decided to accidentally win a game. So it, I did everything I could to find some positive things about this team. I mean, Hollywood Brown's always hurt. Rondale Moore's small. Zach Pascal, I think he had one solid season with the Colts, and I think it was like 700 yards. I do sort of like Gannon. I kind of like him. I think I like him. I like him. I don't know if I like him as a coach, and he's basically getting Ben McAdoo. Like there's nothing really to say. Um, it I think that Buddha either demands a trade or they get rid of him. They start from scratch, and I hope that they don't. If they are the last place team, if they are, Gannon's getting fired. They're not going to have a defensive coach with a new quarterback. Even though I guess the Texans just did it, so maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't see it, and I'm really scared that everyone else saw it. Like, who did I just say? The guy for the Vikings, Steelers. I wrote it down. Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores saw it. Kafka saw it. Everybody saw it, and I just feel bad for this guy. I mean, I feel bad. Kyler's going to try to prove himself to go to somewhere else. He's not going to be there. It's Drake May or Caleb Williams can go there. And man, I just feel like I really want to be positive. I really want to have a positive outlook on things in general. But I guess the positive thing is that maybe James Conner is really good for you in fantasy. Like I think that he just like really cares. I think he just really. I think no matter how bad they're going to be, I think he's going to try really, really hard every game because he's a good dude. I just, I, I mean, they have a terrible defensive line. I mean, the corners are probably going to be better because that's where Gannon comes from. Man, this show is like so boring. Like I feel bad for anybody that's listening. I'm just trying to find something interesting about this team. I guess what's interesting is Kyler going to come back? Is he going to is he going to be start the season on IR? Is Colt McCoy going to be Geno Smith and have like some sort of resurgence? Who's going to take pride in themselves and just like prove guys like me wrong? I want that to happen. I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. And I just they're going to be Caleb. So yeah, that's it. I'm trying to keep these like 20 minutes or less because like I know it's a lot, and I'm going to do it daily, so I just don't want to overload people who might want to listen. But I'm sorry, like I'm going to start from the worst and go to the best in my power rankings. So I had to start with someone, and the someone is the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm sorry that there's not really a lot to talk about them. So stay tuned. I'm gonna do them all. I'm gonna do them all. I don't care. I'm gonna do them all, and I'm gonna try to do it 32 and 32. I'm starting a few days early, so I make sure that I have enough. And so if I get them out and something has changed, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna try. All right, that's it. I really appreciate you listening, and do all the things that I'm supposed to say to do. So subscribe, follow, like, and comment. Okay, cool. All right, bye everyone. Bye 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 bye.